I'm in the middle of detangling my hair. But I just finished finally watching the Bob Marley biopic movie. And what are my honest thoughts about this film? It was very rushed. It was very, very, very rushed. They did not take enough time to tell Bob Marley's story fully. They did not start at the beginning. They started right around the time of Bob Marley's assassination attempt and him doing that concert, and then him going out and hiding from Jamaica for a while and putting out his most successful album while he was alive, Exodus, and going on tour, and then finally coming back to Jamaica towards the ending of his life. Now, they rushed way too much of this film. Way too much of this film. This film deserved better, okay? The cinematography, the acting, chef's kiss. Totally A+. But storytelling was not good. It was not good. And they left out a lot of pieces. They did not explain things well. They did some flashbacks, but the flashbacks were not really well done because they weren't they weren't done in a way where you understood where those flashbacks kind of fit into his life. They definitely did not focus enough. They talked about it for like 5 minutes, but they did not focus enough on Bob and Rita's issues as a couple, as a husband and wife, him stepping out on her a lot, and everything going on with that. They did not talk about that enough. You barely saw the kids and his interaction with the kids, which I know he was gone a lot, so, whatever, but still. And it just felt extremely rushed. They didn't even have like an ending. They just had him go do his last, charity peace concert in Jamaica, and then they just end it. And they don't even have him come to America, Africa, going to Miami to, finally get his foot fixed or whatever, him passing, none of that. They just end it. And I'm like, okay. Also, another thing, why was Rita wearing a Star of David pin or necklace pendant thing the entire movie? I didn't know that had anything to do with Rastafarianism. Okay, I'm confused. And yeah, like I needed more from this movie. I truly did, because they just did not go into detail enough for me. And if you know me at all, you know that for most of my life, I've been a huge Bob Marley fan. It's just something that runs in my family. We all love him, whatever. And I'm always going to love his music. But I just need to tell his story better, because I've watched better documentaries on this man's life, and they've told a better story than what this movie did. And that's no shade towards any of the actors or actresses in this movie, because y'all did so well. This was such a good acted movie. It just, the story was not that great. And I don't want to blame the family. I don't want to blame Ziggy and them, but like, y'all could have done a little bit better. Y'all know your dad's story, and what you don't know, you could have had your mom fill in gaps. So I'm very confused. Why there was so much left out. And if it was a time crunch thing, I'm still confused, because I've seen biopics that were longer that still took the time to emphasize a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, this was only like an hour 45 or something like that, an hour 50 minutes or something like that. It wasn't that long. And it should have been just a tiny bit longer. Like, maybe just give us 1 more hour and it would have been perfect. It would have been perfect. You could have focused on his childhood. You're not focusing on his childhood a lot either, but you could have focused on it a tiny bit so we could get more of a picture of Bob growing up, not knowing his dad like that. And then talk about when the Wailers were first getting their start, when they were first doing, more ska music in the beginning, and more like traditional R&B, and then go into them getting like a big record deal and all of that, and then go into all of the other stuff that happened, right? But you guys sort of talked about these things in flashbacks, but not to a degree that I would like, and also not to. You did it in weird flashbacks that really didn't make any sense to certain time periods. Because if people don't know Bob Marley's, like, if they just went into this biopic not knowing really anything about Bob Marley except for he wrote like One Love and Redemption Song and whatever, and this, music maybe that they hear, No Woman No Cry. Like, they don't really know Bob Marley like that. They just know a few of his songs. They would be confused coming out of this biopic, okay? Because they would not know what the heck is going on. Because I'm sure that a lot of people who went to see this movie did not know anything about what was going on in Jamaica at the time, or that Bob Marley had gotten, there was an assassination attempt on his life, or, anything. And I just feel like they did not do a good enough, they did not use the time that they had to tell a cohesive story about a man's life. And I just think that that's, like, I would have loved to see Bob and Rita's wedding, like a lot of things, like the birth of the children. Yeah, again, I know that he was out, doing his music and whatever, but even seeing him interact with the kids a little bit more would have been fun. Like, I don't know. I just think they could have done a lot more with this movie than what they did, and I just think that they just needed to pace it better, and it just needed to tell a more comprehensive, cohesive story that I don't think they got the chance to do. So if this ever comes across the table again, where somebody wants to do a Bob Marley biopic, next time, please, and I mean this, please take your time. It does not have to be rushed. And that is one thing that I am so excited about this Michael Jackson biopic that's coming out April next year. I am so excited, number one, that the family is working on it. Now, that was a plus of this movie. The family worked on it. So we were able to have the rights to the music. I have seen biopics in the past where you were not allowed to use the music of an artist, and it ruined the entire biopic. The Jimi Hendrix biopic that was with Andre 3000, love Andre 3000. He did amazing acting, but the story was not that good. Also, they couldn't use Jimi Hendrix's music, so it really ruined it. Also, that Aaliyah biopic. And I don't even have to go into detail with that. If you've seen it, you've seen it, you know. That was double hot trash. So I'm just saying, I'm really glad that they were able to use Bob Marley's music so that, where there were gaps, which there were a lot of them, at least the music was able to be there to lure you in. And I think that was important too. But my number one favorite biopic of all time is the Selena biopic, because it was able to tell a cohesive, comprehensive story from the beginning of her life until the end. And the music was there, and it was able to tell her life story. I just feel like they didn't be able to do that with this. And that's why I'm excited about this Michael biopic. Not only because the family is going to be a part of this, and also because, Michael's nephew, Jafar, is going to play him, but also because they have the music, and because this is probably going to be a very, very, very long biopic. And I'm not mad at that, because I want them to take their time and actually put the effort in to telling a comprehensive story about Michael, which is what I wanted for Bob Marley, but I didn't get that. And I get it, we don't know that much about Bob Marley's childhood, but we know a lot about Michael's because he was in the spotlight. So obviously they're going to talk about Michael's growing up, and so it's going to make the movie a little longer. I guess they just didn't have that for Bob, so they were like, we can cut that out. But I just think they should have added it in. I think it would have gave it a lot more nuance and everything. But here it is, the Bob Marley biopic. Glad not to see it in theaters, to be honest with you. I just think it wasn't worth it. So, how did you feel about this movie if you've seen it? What are your thoughts? Good acting, good cinematography, storyline, not really that big of a fan of it. So, could have done better. Could have done better.